Okay, it's saying live. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everyone out there, whenever you're watching this, wherever you're watching this. If you'll give me a brief moment, I am going to just push this video out to another page. And Zach, did you want me to share that in that other group or?
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll post it there. And I'll be watching on my end to see if there's any people that have any comments, questions, concerns, that sort of thing, and we'll be able to answer them. We don't typically do lives, but somebody's gotta. Okay, it's alienated. Oh, you know what? I don't think I can actually. Can I give you the link
Um, yeah, I might be able to
in
share it.
Messenger?
Yeah. You want
Okay,
me to
wait.
send a link to you?
No, I'm actually on the page,
Okay.
and so I don't know if the page follows the other one is the problem. I think I can do it from my phone. Just kind of waste.
I'll try and do it too here.
Okay. Okay. Well, I will. Sorry for that. I will just go ahead and let you do that. And I will say some words and introduce ourselves and what we're doing here. Okay. So every month, Fathers Anonymous, we hold a support group. One moment. And we'll get a few guys together and we'll have a virtual support group like this, typically via Zoom. And we'd like to show you how those go, what those look like. And generally, we have a format that we follow, and we have some topics that we'll discuss. The goal is to find either either a takeaway that can help us in our situation, specifically in our case, or something that can help us just as human beings, some form of catharsis that can aid us in our struggle. Not everyone here is an alienated parent. Some people are stepmothers, some people are mothers, some people are grandparents, some people just have friends that have gone through it. We're all from different walks of life. Some people are just fathers that just want to be better at being a father. Maybe they weren't modeled what that looks like, and so they're just here to meet other dads. Whatever it is, we're here for it. We're here for you. So, with that being said, I'm going to introduce myself. My name's DW. I'm one of the volunteers here at Fathers Anonymous. I've been alienated from my children via lawfare mostly. I've been alienated for 6, coming up on 7 years. And I started in advocacy with another organization about 5 years ago. And a few years ago, that group fractured, and now we're here at Fathers Anonymous. So that's my quick spiel. I guess Obi or Zach, if you want to go, brief introduction.
If Zach wants to go, he can go ahead and go. Give me a second.
Okay. I'm Zach. I'm out here on the Pacific Ocean side of the United States. Father of 3 kids. The first one passed away, alienated from the other 2 for 21 years. I've been involved with advocacy for dads going through alienation and divorce and custodial issues. Oh, probably for over 25 years. In-person support groups. I have a support group Facebook page out here, and also volunteer with DW at Fathers Anonymous. And unfortunately, we're in a group together we wish we weren't in, but we're here to help each other, and by doing so, we help ourselves too.
All right, Obi, did you fight your cold? Did you win?
Yeah, I got it up for now. Hi, everybody. My name's Obi, and I am from Oklahoma. I've been an advocate for fathers going on about 5.5 years now. And been in a court battle with my ex for going on 7 years. And, you know, what most of you feel out there going through, probably been there myself, as David and Zach. So that's our purpose for being here, is to help y'all through it.
Copy that. Thanks, dudes. I am going to throw up on the screen here briefly just a general house rules. So normally we wouldn't do this for the three of us because we're volunteers here. We know how we run things, but just to give you guys, because we don't normally share these, I'm going to throw up on the screen our house rules so that you can know what to expect if you were to join one of these. Generally what our expectations are. It's real simple and short. Typically we send out a disclaimer either in our messenger or in email, and that disclaimer is a little bit longer. But here's the short version of it, the group house rules that we'll put up at the beginning of the meeting. And the main thing is privacy is paramount. Fathers Anonymous, that name is there for a reason. Some of it was tongue in cheek, you know, that we feel like because we're fathers, there's a problem with us, you know, the whole Alcoholics Anonymous. Of course, there isn't a problem. We're fathers. But here we are. There's a problem, and we're having this meeting. So some of it was tongue in cheek, but also, you know, guys struggle and they don't want to put their stuff out there. So we want these meetings to be as anonymous as possible. And the key thing for anyone, and this is advice, this is a little bit of advice too. Whatever you put on the internet is forever. Someone can take a comment down, delete a post, doesn't matter. Screenshots are forever. And you're as anonymous as you want to be, but once you start naming names, putting your stuff out there, somebody's going to find it. It's going to end up in your case. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. Been there, done that. The next point is take debates offline. So when we hold these meetings, generally, we haven't had any contentious moments, and that's mostly because it's mostly us. But the time will come when there's some contention, and that's fine to disagree, but that's not the goal of this. The goal of this is to find something, to find common ground and take away from. So we would ask people to take their debates offline if things start to get derailed. The next sort of follows the same. That's avoid politics, religion, and ideology. At best attempt. I put the at best attempt there because sometimes that directly plays into our court cases, as many of you know, especially politics and especially religion. I know that Zach and I both have some instances where people were involved with the church that were involved in some of our scenarios, and so they're loosely related. So it's not like completely verboten to speak, but if you can, just avoid some of the more touchy topics. The next point is to remember that the goal is growth. I kind of hit on that throughout the other points, so I won't beat that into the ground. The next one is everyone gets their turn, and to mute your mics when you're not speaking. So you'll see how the format goes when we go through this. Basically, we'll land on a topic, and then everyone will go around once and speak on their insight or experience with that topic, and then we open the floor up for conversation. Not every time is it always as structured. Does it have to follow a topic? Sometimes somebody's really broken and they're just going through it and they need to get something off their chest. That's also what we're here for. Not everything is crisp and clean and perfect. Sometimes things are raw, and so we just want to give reverence to what people are going through and respect that person and their floor. And the final one is invest back into the community if you can. And that one's actually part of our topic today. So it'll be somewhat of a segue into the topic. But the goal of Fathers Anonymous isn't to be the face of parental alienation or the face of advocacy. The problem that a lot of us, the three of us specifically, have seen in other organizations is that, you know, you got all these people and they want to be they want to be the person, and they want to solve the problem, and they want all the notoriety. And in that time, while they're, you know, aiming upward, and more power to them, we got to have them, there's guys like you, me, everybody that watches this video that's struggling with something that no one's saying, hey, you're struggling and you need to take care of yourself. We're really good about you know, trying to save the world, but then we won't do what it takes to even get our house in order, to take care of ourselves, to clean our room, to make our bed, you know. But we have these lofty goals to solve the world's problems. And so I think that's where we as men do ourselves a great injustice. And so that's the goal of Fathers Anonymous, is to invest in one another so that you can go back out into the world and be that Superman, be the next advocate, be the next legislator, whatever it takes. But, you know, they say in airplanes, you know, you got to put your mask on first before you can help somebody else. And that's our goal, is to say, hey, let's take care of ourselves first to make sure that we can help others. So that's generally the house rules and a light tangent. Here's the part where we will pick a topic. However, we actually picked a topic before we started this video, and that is just an acknowledgement or us noticing that you know, a lot of guys that are going through this, it was a surprise to them. And maybe they had all the red flags. I know I did. I know these guys did. And some people kind of gave us the drop. But, you know, we really didn't have somebody alongside of us saying, hey, watch out for this, 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 this. And in that observation, I realized that, you know, there's only a few of us. There's only 3 people on this call right now. And we put these out every month. We want everybody to feel welcome. And in other groups, we see people talk, man, I need support. Can somebody call me? Can somebody set up a time to talk to me? I wish there was support groups and blah, blah, blah. And they're right. They're right. But then when the time comes, nobody's doing it. And it's like, we know there's a problem. We know there's hurt. We know there's a void. But guys aren't stepping up to that role. And the observation isn't a criticism necessarily. To me, it's more of an open-ended question. Why are we doing this? And I'll stop rambling on here. I just wanted to say, before we started this call, we were briefly talking about it. And so I'll share my point. And that is, I think a lot of us guys are, I don't know how many men that may watch this were like a fixer in their relationship, you know, where, you know, something goes wrong, she's upset, and you'll do whatever it takes to make it right. Whatever it takes. She'll give you a hoop to jump through. Okay, it's better now. And then now you mess up again. Now the hoop's higher. You keep going, and you try to make it right. Because I think we're motivated, especially by shame and failure. And we don't want to broadcast to the world that we're a failure. And so in doing maybe some of this, it's saying, hey, we've ruined our family. Our family's ruined. And now our kids are going to be ruined, and we're a failure. Maybe that's why some men don't do this. And I don't know. It's a shame, because while let's say that I feel that way about myself, there's a mini version of me that's, you know, 10 years younger than me, that if I would have just come alongside that young man or done more of this and he knew me, then maybe he would have never taken the path that I did to be a broken man that got with a broken woman to now create a broken home. And so that's my take on the observation of, men aren't stepping up to do these things. So that's all my spiel. I talked a lot, so I'll let one of you boys say your piece.
Zach, you want to, or you want me to?
No, go ahead, Obi.
All right, man. So I want to touch on something that you said, David, that kind of hit close to home, being the one trying to fix everything and keep our family intact. As you two know, after 6 years of separation, I went out on a limb and decided to be that glue, to be that hero to my children that wanted their mom and dad back together, and I took a chance that I probably never should have taken. And you're exactly right on that. I mean, she would sit there and tell me, hey, you being on the road, it's so hard on me, and I need you here. And I quit driving a truck. I took a job to be home every night. And whenever that wasn't good enough, I'd fix the next problem and the next problem, the next problem, and the next problem. The problem with that was that it put me in an emotional wreck state of mind where I didn't even know who I was, what I was doing. And it sent me to a place in life that I don't think nobody deserves to be, where more often than not, I would pray that I would not wake up the next morning. There were days after her and I finally separated the second time that I would just lay in bed. I'd given up. I cut ties with everybody, even doing these meetings, as you two know, for the past couple months, I haven't been around, trying to get myself back in a mental capacity to be able to help others. And you simply can't do that whenever you're dealing with a bunch of raw emotions. But there were several times that, like, my brother would come over and I'd be lost in a bottle of tequila, a bottle of Jack. I probably drank through more money between May and September than one man should ever be allowed to go through for alcohol. And one day I woke up and I said, you're getting ready to lose your home. You have no money in the bank. What are you doing? It took me a while to snap out of it. And trying to be that glue and having to admit to my beautiful little girl that I failed her. And I did fail her 100%. Because in my situation, I had her in good standing with her mother and I took that chance. I allowed that to happen. So in my eyes, I failed my little girl who wanted her mom and dad back together. And it's not an easy place to be. And still, whenever I talk to her now, we're talking 7-8 months after the fact, she's begging for daddy to give mom another chance. And I'm like, no, we can't go there again, and I can't broadcast my reasonings why. There are some things that I'm not proud of and that I don't need out on the internet. But I have my reasonings as to why. But to touch on the topic at hand, it's my belief that the reason that dads are so silent is we often are looked upon as Superman, as a hero by our children, by others around us. And to sit there and openly admit to somebody that we know, somebody that we don't know, that we are not okay, it's not characteristic of us. I know prior to 7 years ago, I could have been going through complete hell and nobody would know. It took not really knowing who I was, not knowing what I was doing in life to be able to open up and say, hey, what is going on? Something is not right. And it did take a huge toll on my pride, my dignity. But as time went on and I started getting involved with advocating for fathers, I realized I'm not the only one, and there's no telling how many people I've helped through some very dark times. And so for that, I think that the short term hit to my dignity was well worth it. I think that if more fathers would realize that there's nothing wrong with the hurt, there's nothing wrong with having tears coming out of your eyes or feeling like you let yourself down, your kids down, whatever the case may be, I think maybe they wouldn't be in the dark nature spot that they are in. And I think that should sum it up on my behalf. So Zach, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay. The topic of stepping up, I don't want to discuss too much about myself. If anything, I did step up, and I may have stepped up too much. Worked 3 jobs just to try and survive the financial downfall after a divorce, and hardly slept at all, but was always there for my kids on my parenting time. But the stress takes a toll. The 3 jobs took a toll, and my kids wound up being alienated from me. And about 5 years after the final walk away, wound up having a heart attack and spend 5 days in a cardiac unit. So, I look at my own life, and I believe I did step up, and I sought out help. There was a local group of dads that got together, and from all that, I just tried to help others. And a lot of this was before Facebook, and then Facebook came along, and I found several organizations where I sought out advice and help. They weren't doing, chats and lives like this, but help was out there. But what I see now is I'm on a lot of fathers' rights pages and dads' pages and parent alienation pages, and I see a lot of very broken dads and men that they're not really seeking out help. And as we can see here, and again, to remind everybody watching, if you're involved in these meetings, we hold them every month, they would not be broadcast like this. We as 3 friends were choosing to broadcast this to hopefully offer help to others. So don't be concerned that you would be seen on the internet, because you wouldn't. But I'm just seeing an awful lot of dads and men out there that they're broken, they need help, but they don't step up and really seek it. We advertised this meeting, which would have been held in private. I don't know how many thousands of people saw the post, but I'm sure it was in the thousands. And I'll compare it for a moment to gun rights advocacy, which I was heavily involved in. We tried to do some legislation, and we advertised to easily 200,000 people on Facebook in groups. And we held a rally at the Capitol, and 14 people showed up out of 200 some thousand people that saw the post on legislation that could dramatically affect their rights. And we'll get off that, but bring it to dads. It's the same situation. I went to a rally a number of years ago down at one of the courthouses for fathers' rights, and it was advertised throughout the state and other states, and 4 people showed up, and 2 of those were from out of state, and this was at our state capitol. So dads are not stepping up, and there's ways we can do that. We can step up for ourselves. We can step up for advocacy like the 3 of us do. And we can also step up to make legislative changes. And as we gain more confidence over the years through the pain that we suffer, you might get involved in all 3 of those. But for now, just as far as stepping up for yourself, if you need help, seek it out. There may be groups in your community, Facebook groups, groups like Fathers Anonymous, some of your local, statewide Facebook groups that might be able to help you. But don't be so proud. Don't be such a stereotypical man, especially from my generation, that you feel you can't seek out help, because you can, and we all need it. We all understand, and a lot of times your close friends are not going to understand at all. Your own very own family may not understand. So the only place that you can probably get help and advice and help you navigate through the system of the family court system, alienation, divorce issues, child support issues, whatever it may be, is by talking to other dads that are going through it side by side with you. So just don't get depressed. Don't get involved in substance abuse. Don't think that you're not worthy of tomorrow. We've all been there, and we don't necessarily even have the answers, but knowing that you're not the only one going through this in itself can be psychologically helpful to you.
Yeah, you guys both hit on something that was common, and I didn't say anything about it, but it certainly is lurking underneath, and that is that, there's a pain that is associated with whether you're just sad, depressed, or you feel like a failure and you have like guilt or shame. All of those feelings are painful. And, for me, I think like I severely doubt that I will get to see my children before they all age out. Zach here, they have aged out, and it's easy to sort of devolve and spiral, but there are other things that I have to tend to and take care of and manage. I have other people that depend on me, and even if I didn't, I still do, because I think about whoever that 10-year younger version of DW is. He's out there. I work with him. He's my neighbor. I saw him at the pool hall. This guy I know, and I got to make this pain that I feel every day. Every day. It doesn't go away. I don't forget about it. There's not a day I don't think about my kids. And maybe that's not a comforting thought to hear, but it's just true. However, there's no way that I can live with this pain and not make it mean something. And so that's why I'm here. I know that's why you two guys are here, is because the pain's got to mean something, right? And so, like when Obi was talking about that pain, that he, we all know each other's personal stories, so we can kind of speak to them without sharing them. I know what Obi's got going on, and I've known Obi 4 or 5 years now, and so we've had a lot of long conversations, even in the middle of the night, and sometimes you got to step away. I know I have. I know Obi has, and at the end of the day, I'm here now because I got to make it mean something. There's no way I can continue on and it not mean anything, right? What's the point? And so I guess to sort of, at least from my end, cap this part of the conversation is, we are urging you to make it mean something. That's why we're here. And so if you're going through something, you need somebody to talk to, let's talk. We're here. And, there's, I don't know, about a dozen of us on the page that watch and message. Not everybody makes memes or comments, but there's other people in the back channels. There's other people that have varying levels of experience that can share things that may help you. So anyways, There was another thing that I wanted to say. Maybe it can merge into another topic if you guys want. But this typically is the part where we'll just like open up and have a free discussion. And so with that being said, one of the things that I was thinking about was when Obi was talking about, you know, he's about to lose his house and all of this other stuff. Excuse me. You know, or maybe it was Zach or maybe both. When you're going through this stuff, I can't tell you how many, I'm sure a lot of people resonate with the fact that you sort of cut ties with all of the people that were associated with knowing you while you were married you, or you while you were dad you, or you with your ex, whatever. And you know, me, to go back to the religion thing, like I was associated with a church group. I severed ties with all of those people, all of the people that knew me with my ex. I mean, and and in hindsight, I realized that I had basically swept the rug out from under my own feet. And maybe some of it was for the best, maybe some of it's wise, but not all of it. And I think we're real eager to cut off everything just to stop the bleeding. And I guess that's another good reason why people like us are here. But just, I guess when I thought about some of the stuff that Obi was talking about, like getting rid of his home and having to move, like, you know, all your friends back in the state that you live at, you know, now you're in another state, you know, trying to see your kids. All your network is gone. Your support group is gone, your support network. And I don't know, that it was more of an observation than a point. Just we're really good about cutting our ties and not really good about reconnecting those ties. So
You know, DW, you brought up pain. I'd like to discuss that for a minute, and I'll bring it real personal. I lost my first son when he was a year old, and that was, I think he'd be about 40, 41 years old. But so I lost him. I lost my dad when I was 25 years old, 43 years ago. And so I lost him. Then I lost my two kids from alienation. And in every single one of those is pain. And the kids that are alienated, it's like a death too. So in each one of those cases, there was a death. And there's extreme pain with that. And I want to be positive about this whole thing, but that pain and your loss, it never goes away. It never goes away. But what I've discovered over the years is you learn each day to deal with it differently. The pain doesn't disappear. It's always in your thought. Just like you said, DW, my alienated kids, I think about them every single day. But that deep pain is with you. It will change over time, but it's always there. It just adjusts, and you learn to deal with it differently. And whether you're going through a divorce, a custody battle, all the things associated with family court, you're going to be in pain, and that pain will hopefully subside, but it may not ever go away. So you need to learn how to deal with it, and whether that's and for gosh sakes, try and stay off substances and doing things that could harm your life or your future, or the time that you may have if you do reconnect with your kids, if you're not seeing them now. But you have to find a way to deal with it, whether that be hobbies, a career, a new relationship. Dig inside yourself and find a way that you can deal with that pain, so that you can find a way to have a productive life down the road, because life is short, and that's important. And you may find in dealing with that pain is what some of us are doing here, and that's just by helping others. And I know that does help me in dealing with my own pain. because there's nobody else around me in my life that I can really discuss this with. You had brought that up. I just wanted to touch on that from a personal perspective, that don't sit in that dark room at home and just think things are gonna get better on their own. They won't. So I guess we'll use the word, be man enough that you can seek out help. Be man enough that you can discuss this with other people that are in the same situation you have been in, and maybe we can help you find a path in dealing with the problems and challenges you have, but also a path to where you can enjoy your entire life. Because this is a major part of all our lives, but we have found that path to move forward. So.
Well, on that, I can say, I mean, you guys, like, I mean, specifically you, two guys and a couple more in our group. I mean, you guys are really the only guys I can talk to. And I know that for the guys that may see this, and I shared it in one of the, I think I shared it in a couple of groups. Like, I know, and one of those groups is fairly big, and I see the posts every day. What do I do? What do I do now? I don't have any friends. How do I make new friends? This is how. These guys are my friends. I can make friends with my next door neighbor, and he is. My next door neighbor, he and I went to an outdoor range today, and we went through a lot of rounds, and that was a lot of fun. But I can't talk to him about this. Like, I can, and he'll listen, but he won't really understand. And I don't have that. It's you guys. And so, and I say you guys, specifically Obi and Zach, like, whoever's watching this, you can be those guys too, or we can be those guys for you. But until you sort of step into this world and just, hey, embrace where you're at, make the pain mean something, like, you're gonna have a hard time making friends. Because, for me, every time I think about whatever, I think of how it comes back to whatever that happened to me in family law. Because while it's not related, it's all I think about. It's all I think about. And so it's hard for me to not go off and, like, get a little crazy and talk about that stuff. And I can do that with you guys. I can't do that at work. People don't get it. I'm just crazy, Here we go again, And I don't want to be that guy to anybody, but we got to have somebody.
Let me real quick interject. I'll turn this over to Obi. Like you said, I tried discussing this with my brother 2 weeks ago. Doesn't want to talk about it. I have a couple of friends. One's 45 years, 50 years. We all work together. They even knew my ex-wife and knew my kids, knew how the relationship was back then. I can't talk to them about it either. I have a couple neighbors here, very close to. Don't discuss it. Some of them don't even know I have kids. So, like I said, you guys are my buddies, and this is where, I get to vent, and with people that actually understand what the hell we're all going through.
To touch on what Zach was saying, I think that more often than not, we think in the despair of the moment with all the pain. We don't think about tomorrow. We don't think about next week. We don't think about next month, next year, 10 years from now. We think about today and the pain that we feel today. And in my situation, I didn't think about tomorrow, the next day, next year, 5 years from now. I was thinking about right then and there, and all I could think about was how I could make it end. And whether it be getting lost in a bottle or whatever else, I think more often than not, a lot of people are just like me, that whenever the pain hits full force like a wrecking ball, they're thinking about tonight and not about tomorrow. And a lot of people don't realize, yeah, tonight dealing with the pain, the hurt, it hurts right now, and you're going to continue to feel guilt. You're going to continue to feel sorrow and pain. But as time goes on, it becomes a different level of pain. It's not the bring you to your knees, I can't take it no more type of pain. And it becomes a pain that you can better deal with, I guess the right way to word it. And so I want to encourage anybody that's new, excuse me, new to the family court process. If you've had your kids ripped away, your life ripped away from you, it's traumatic. And that pain that you feel right now, I know I felt it. I'm sure Zach has felt it. I know DW has felt it. But we're all standing here. We're on a Zoom meeting trying to help people new to this system. And I think we can all agree that it becomes more manageable. It doesn't ever go away, but it does become more manageable. And so think about tomorrow. Think about 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Kind of like these guys here, I don't really have anybody to talk to outside of this group. Most of the people that I know, I've always been that backbone to people around me, that whenever they were going through hell, they could come to me, they could vent, and I could find the best advice to give them. I've helped people most of my life. And it took the family court system to put me in a position where I needed help. And that was something that a lot of people around me that have known me for 30 years never saw coming. I've always been that person that no matter what life has thrown at me, I've bounced back and it's never really fazed me. But the family court was a different obstacle for me. That took me to my knees, and that is something that I'm not proud of. But everybody has something in their life that is going to bring them down. And I know I'm not the only one that's been brought to my knees. I know that. But at the time, it seemed that way. And up until I got involved with another organization, I didn't really realize the magnitude of what was going on and just how common it was to be where I was at that particular moment. And so, for anybody out there that is on their knees, you can't see past tonight, the emptiness tonight. I can tell you, probably 6 months from now, that darkness is going to get a little bit brighter. And 6 months from then, it's going to be a little bit brighter, and it's going to continue to get brighter. It's not going to remain a pitch black room where all you have to do is run around in circle and think, how can I make this pain end? And so with that, I will turn it over to one of you fine gentlemen.
Well, you said something that triggered me. I just want to say, something reminded me of this yesterday or day before. I swear, I am so damn tired of hearing how I'm the exception. I swear to God, it's like everybody thinks, oh, but you're a good dad and you actually want to see your kids and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what do you think I've been doing the past 5 years, talking to literally thousands of fathers desperate, desperate to see their kids, desperate. Obi was also in another organization with me. Uh, he was on a hotline. Sometimes I got involved with it. I can't tell you how many dads I've talked to at the end of their rope, both metaphorically and literally. And yet these people have the audacity to say to me, oh, but you're the exception. I swear to God, that is one of the most frustrating things to hear. But it's easy to think that when you're not in these communities, you think that you are all alone and you don't have guys like these to talk to. Just like Obi was saying, it's like, you know, I don't know. It's easy to feel like you're alone, but you aren't. You aren't the exception. But the world does a great job of gaslighting you into making you think that, oh, you're the exception. Or did you really do that? Do you really want this? Do you really feel that way? Did she really say that? Did she really do that? I don't know. The judge did this. I don't know. Probably not. Maybe there's something wrong with it. It's just one of those. I told you, you triggered. I'm triggered. I'm getting off on a tangent here. I don't know. That's just something that lit a fire under me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
But what you just said, I think some of our friends and maybe even our family kind of look at us like, well, you must have done something wrong. You must have done something wrong. And some things Obi said were making me think too. I look back at all the jobs I had, and I worked with women, but I would say the majority of the time, most of the people I worked with were men. No matter what career path it was, most of them were men. And in some of these jobs, I started when I was 14, 16 years old. And I hear them talk. I hear them bitch about their divorces and bitch about their child support, what the ex-wife is doing. But it never registered in my head that maybe someday that would happen to me. And when it does, you're shocked as hell. So you just, this is happening to hundreds and thousands of people that and that we all have dealt with online. But don't think you're going through this by yourself. But I want to just spur this into something positive too. You're looking at three guys here that have survived. We're at different stages. Obi's still going through it, and you're DW is 6 or 7 years out of it, and I'm 2 decades down the road. But we have survived, and we've rebuilt ourselves. And I've watched other friends that have gone through divorce and lost their kids, and I've got a larger time span to look at, and for the most part, they've all survived. I want to let you know there may still be pain involved. You still may have loss involved, but if you focus on your own life and come up with a plan, move forward with your life, there is degrees of happiness, success, and contentment, for lack of a better word, down the road. There's been times where all three of us were probably financially destitute, just about ready to live on the street, and we've found ways with our own strength and careers, and I guess that manliness that we are supposed to have, and I believe we should have. We found a way to continue taking a new step every day. And this isn't to brag, but I've got a nice home, a car. I'm retired. Pretty much things are paid for. I don't have to worry about things financially tomorrow. That doesn't mean I still don't have pain and loss associated with everything I've been through, but just there is an end to all of this, and I hope that every dad watching this you may not feel that today, but there is, and just continue to take that step forward and find a path for your life.
I'm going to jump in here. There's a comment. I won't read the name, but the comment said, absolutely nothing worse than a child being conditioned against a parent. Nothing in my life has caused more sadness and grief and anger and depression than going through that. Worst thing in my life. I can absolutely echo that. So can these guys.
Mhm.
And that to me, and I don't know what part of this you're responding to, but I mean that just is another one of those things that like when people on the outside see that alienated child, you know, sort of wanting to draw away from the targeted parent, it's an easy thing for the people on the outside to see, see, well, that kid doesn't want to be by their parent, so obviously there must be something wrong. And it's such a it's easy to be frustrated at the people on the outside that they don't see it. But then again, put yourself in their shoes and they see a kid drawing away from their dad. It's like, what are they supposed to think, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I deal with it with mine. Since they've been up here in Illinois, I barely hear from them. Um, I'm paying for a phone that sits on a cabinet somewhere, and they very seldom call me. I will say, or excuse me, I know with DW, your situation is a little bit different, but to the person that made that comment, if you have the ability to see your kids, make the most out of it. Um, I'm probably one of the strictest parents that you will ever meet. Um, I have 4 kids, one of which is in college to become a doctor. I got a 16-year-old who's doing very well in school. He's going in the military next year to do basic, and he wants to become a lawyer. And then I have my 2 youngest that is what brought me here. And I will tell you, I found that with them, I don't really discipline. Now, with that said, I don't really have to. They don't push buttons. They don't test waters very often. Um, and I make the most out of every second that I have with them. So, and I'm going to use this as an example. 2 weeks ago I picked my kids up in Illinois, and I took them on a little mini vacation for a day and a half. But I made that day and a half count. And they went home to their mother. I got a call from their mother bitching and complaining that they wouldn't shut up about the weekend that they had with their dad. And at one point was even asked, how much did you spend on them? And I told her, I said, that's really none of your business. What I spend on my kids is what I spend on my kids. Now, look, I didn't go out and I didn't buy their affection and I didn't do none of that. But we had good quality time and I made sure that they had fun. So if you have access to your children, make every second that you have count with them and let them fill that with love and compassion with your child. And for me, that kind of combats the effort of getting my children to pull away from me. Because at the end of the day, I guarantee you, if I was to show up at her door right now, both of my kids and even one that is not mine would run out that door and into my arms. That I can guarantee.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and not every kid, will respond the same way, but I think that generally, like what you're saying, being present as much as you can, I think that's good. I have some conflicting feelings, and this is where our paths might diverge, so I'll be careful. But like, I don't necessarily, at least for me, um, the last thing that I had was going to force me into supervised visits, and and it looked like it was going towards a pathway to 0 visits, uh, but that was something I couldn't do or condone, especially the direction things were going. If there was a clear path out, then I probably would have. Um, but if you have unsupervised visits, like Obi said, it doesn't have to be Disney World. It just, quality time. And unfortunately for us, most fathers, we certainly aren't going to get the quantity. So better make it quality over the quantity then. So yeah, I agree. And good on you, Obi. And kids like, and like you were saying about the strict thing, I mean, kids like knowing where the boundaries are. Obi and I were talking about that last week. Kids thrive on consistency, and boundaries. They know what to expect, and that brings them comfort, though they can't articulate it. So good on you.
And I just kind of want to add something. I know a lot of people back home that they will promise their kids, "Hey, I'm going to pick you up on this day." Um, and I know that there's dads out there that their job may keep them away, like mine does. But I will tell you, whenever I picked my kids up 2 weeks ago, I had promised them, I think a week and a half before that I would be there that day whenever they got out of school. Um, and I kept that promise. I maintain with my children, I will not make a promise I cannot keep. And so if you promise your kids I'm going to pick you up on Friday by 3:30, then pick them up Friday by 3:30. They will notice that. I know at one point after my kids had moved to Illinois, my daughter called me and she was crying and she goes, "Daddy, I miss you." And I said, "Baby, I'm at work. I got to make some money." I said, "I promise you within a month and a half, I will be up there to see you." And I held that true to that promise. And the first words out of her mouth whenever she's seen me was, "Daddy, I didn't think I was ever going to see you again. I didn't think you were going to hold true to your promise." And so, kids like my daughter is 8 going on 9, and believe me, they notice small things like that. Whenever you make them a promise and you keep that promise to them, they will notice it.
Yeah. 1,000% agree. Well, Zach, did you have anything to add?
Oh, no, I think we covered it pretty well.
Okay. All right. Well, this is where I break the fourth wall again. For those watching, so typically we'll run these groups for about an hour, hour and a half. They normally start around 6, so I've been trying to start them the past few times about 15 minutes early. That way everybody can get there on time. We can kind of get some of the informal introductions out of the way. So after we pick a topic, everybody takes a turn. We open the floor up. If we still have enough time, we'll maybe pick a second topic. If not, we'll just kind of stay there. The three of us, we kind of wandered around a few topics. Everything's kind of in the same wheelhouse. At this point, normally what we'll do is try to find some takeaway points, which we kind of did along the way. So I'll let those lie so that we don't just beat a dead horse. We've sort of drafted a loose document to follow for the format of these groups, and our purpose is that as we get more and more people showing up to these groups, maybe more and more people want to facilitate them. We're not gatekeepers of having groups. The whole point is that we'll do them. Maybe other people will do them. We'd like for you guys to do them with us and maybe under our name so that we can kind of keep a good structure. But whatever, take this, write it down, write down what I'm saying, do your own thing. We just want to help people. But in the process of creating these steps, we also came up with, I should say, in the process of creating the format, we came up with some steps. The couple people that helped me devise the format here, and just we kind of figured to go along with the theme of like an AA meeting that's obviously not like an AA meeting that we had here. But we did come up with some steps, and we came up with 10 of them. We call them 10 steps to cope from trauma. And I'm I I'm a man. I just got done with some range time. I work on heavy equipment. I'm a man. I'm a man. But you got to be able to acknowledge that what you're going through is trauma. I'm sorry. I hate to burst your bubble if you're a big buff guy. You don't like that word, but it's just true. You've experienced trauma, and you may even have PTSD. You don't have to go to war. And to be honest, I have friends that have served in the military, and they've said that the PTSD that they got from family court trauma actually gave them their PTSD disability that made them retire from the military. I think that speaks volumes. So, anyways, to that point, we came up with 10 steps. And so at the end of these meetings, I like to find a step that's relevant to the topics at hand. And today's step will be our number 4. And the step is this. And let me preface one more thing. This one is because in some of these groups that I shared this in, I see, just like I said earlier, guys, every day, how do I find friends? I'm alone. I don't have any friends. I'm by myself. I'm in this city. Anybody here in this city? What do I do now? Here's the answer. As much and as quickly as possible, resume your normal activities and routines. Traumatic events can throw your life into a state of chaos. The sooner you resume these activities and routines, the more normal your life will feel. Structure can provide feelings of security as you etch your way back to stability. And I think those activities, those routines, can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. Have a range day. Zach and I, we like riding motorcycles. Get on 2 wheels, take the twisties, get into boxing. You want to let some of that anger out? Get into boxing. Take it out on a kick bag, a punching bag. Go to the gym. There's so many ways to plant a routine in your life, and it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be like a New Year's resolution where like, I'm going to lose 300 pounds. Don't make it impossible. Don't make it impossible. Just say, hey, once a month, I'm going to go to the gym, even if it's once a month. I know that sounds silly, but just do it. Do something you can stick to. And once you set that routine, maybe you'll find yourself liking it, or you'll find something else you want to do. But you got to find normalcy. You got to find normalcy in all this chaos, because if you don't, you'll spiral down those dark thoughts of feeling, I'm alone. I don't have anybody to talk to. Nobody understands. I'm feeling that pain and it's not going away. And like Obi said, like the pain today, the today pain is strong. It is like losing a limb. It is strong. If you can get it down to a manageable, like just a low grade, it's manageable. And then you can make it mean something. But you're not going to make it mean something when you're bleeding out. You gotta take care of yourself. And so I think, for me at least, my perspective on this meeting was that you got to make the pain mean something, and you got to take care of yourself. What do you guys think?
I think that the normalcy, kind of like in my situation where I quit driving the truck, and by the way, David, my Waywos are bigger. I operate bigger machinery.
No, you
but
don't.
anyway,
No, you don't.
yeah, do you fly the plane?
Hey, don't tell people what I do. No, I drive it. I actually get to drive them.
Oh, I don't like you. Anyway,
that's all right. We both have trauma, so
yeah. I'll have to come down to where you're at. We'll have a boxing match. How about that?
You'll win. You'll win.
Hey, I don't know, man. I'm 41 and out of shape. Maybe 20 years ago, I might have been able to take you. I don't know about now. But anyway, back to what I was saying, normalcy. Um, one thing about getting back to yourself and finding dignity and self-worth is once you find that and they know that they cannot affect you with their games, with their narcissism, the you're going to do this or you're not going to get to see the kids. And whenever you can look at them and say, okay, and go on about your day without showing any emotion, that's better than any revenge that you can get. Because honestly, whenever you're at your lowest point, they can affect you with words. They can call you on the phone and say, hey, you're a piece of shit, you ain't come to see your kids in a week and a half. And it gets to you and you react and you feed off of it and you feed into it. But whenever you get beyond that and you find your self-worth and they do it, you're like, yeah, I've been at work, sorry, I'll be by in a few days, and you hang up the phone and you leave it at that. That pisses them off more and it affects them more than what they're affecting you.
And to preface for everyone, not that we're trying to piss them off. We're not.
No. I mean, look, I don't think that any father that's been through the trauma that you and I have been through and that Zach's been through doesn't think about revenge on the ex. And some take that revenge to a different extreme. And we won't even talk about that because that's not the right platform. But, sometimes the best revenge is the revenge that you don't seek at all. Because whenever you can get that revenge just by going on with your life and becoming happy again and moving forward with your life and showing, hey, you're not going to keep me down in this rabbit hole that you've had me in. I'm coming out of it whether you like it or not. And you get your revenge without saying a word, without doing anything extreme. That revenge is the best revenge that you'll ever see, because it affects them more to see that they can no longer control you with their words or with their actions than anything that you can say to them, And so getting back to a normal way of life, 100% key to getting beyond it. I know in my case, back in May, I didn't want to come back to a truck. I've been a truck driver for 19 years. This is, don't get me wrong, I love trucking, but I was done with it. I wanted to be a family man and be there for my children. And whenever I came out, I swore I wasn't coming back. But to get back to me, this was very important for me to come back and get back to doing what I love doing. And since I've been back behind the wheel, I have found peace with myself. And like I said earlier, I'm to blame. I am the one that failed my daughter, in the sense that I should have never entertained the idea for her mother and I getting back together. We had a good relationship. Everything was going great. And I should have never entertained the idea of giving her mother another chance. And so in that aspect, at a moment of weakness, I did fail my daughter. Now, not to the magnitude that her mother would make it out to be, but yes, I did fail my children. But to get back to a normal way of life, and now I'm getting to the point where I can actually attend these meetings and I can talk to other people and share my story. Whereas, June, July, August, I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to be a part of these meetings. I really secluded myself in more ways than one. My son that I have, my 16-year-old that I have custody of, in the past 2-3 months that I've been back on the road, he's like, Dad, I'm glad that you're snapping out of it. He goes, I was really getting worried about you there for a while. He said, you didn't want to get up. You didn't come out of your room. You stayed back there. You were drinking all the time. He said, and I'm glad that you went back on the road. I'm glad that I get to see my hero come back to life. So, yeah, like I said, getting back to a normal way of life, I do agree, probably 50% of overcoming the trauma from family court.
Hey, just because I like metaphors before Zach jumps in, I just wanted to say that that whole like bit about, the whole revenge thing, um, I kind of heard the metaphor of, like how when people are upset, you're slinging poo at each other, right? And, if when she throws it at you and she misses because she's not affecting you, then and she's not hitting you, right? You don't smell like crap, but she's still picking up crap. She smells like poo, right? And so to me, that's kind of like, because I think when some people might hear the word revenge, like they might think of it like we're, like I was prefacing earlier, like we're not saying like get back at your ex. The point is that you made, that my poop metaphor is highlighting, is that you can't smell like crap if the crap isn't hitting you and you're not picking it up. So I think that was a great point, and I just really wanted to bring in uh, a poop metaphor that I thought of. So sorry. Do you have anything to segue into that, Zach?
Well, I'll talk about revenge and poop. How's that? Like on Obi's revenge thing, we shouldn't seek revenge, but I'll tell you, if you're doing right by yourself, your revenge will show up in how she treats you. Because when you are putting yourself out there, when you are walking forward with a new path in life and a new career, maybe you're dating again, you're going to probably in many cases see anger from the other side. Your ex is going to get angry, and you will know that you're being revengeful if her actions and her anger is focused at you because you're doing better. And I see that happen a lot. And to the poop slinging, I see too often the guys are tossing it back by just engaging with the BS that your ex is always trying to throw at you. Whether she's trying to uproot your life, cause problems in your life, she's not following the court orders, she's not adhering to the parenting time agreements. The best thing you can do when they're throwing poop at you is to ignore it. And if you have to send a final email or have your attorney send a letter that if it doesn't involve an emergency with the kids, I'm adhering to the court order to the letter. Do not send me any correspondence of any kind. Don't call me ever again. In other words, you're taking control back and you're not going to sling the crap back at her. And that's sometimes the best thing you can do because that's what they want. You're going to just cut off the engagement. Let's face it, guys, it's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your life to have the constant anger and stress coming from her or tossing it back at her. And that, that really helped me, was just to cut off the conversation. If it doesn't involve an emergency with the kids, I'm not talking to you again. My attorney's over here. There's a social worker that's coordinating communication over here. It's going through them. Just leave me alone. No longer will I take 37 phone calls in one day from my ex-wife, just trying to harass me. And you may find that works for you. A lot of times just getting out of a high conflict situation is the best thing you can do.
Yeah. In one of those groups we're in, I mean, I see people share screenshots all the time, and it's like, oh man, I just dunked on her. And it's like, dude, you are losing. You are losing. You think that you won that battle, but it is not going to help you win the war. That's for sure. Yeah. Stop engaging. Yeah.
I,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I will tell everybody, after the second go around, for the first couple months after she moved up here to Illinois, I was probably the most combative person you could meet. I was constantly going off on her. But since I have maintained it strictly about the kids, now it's, well, who are you seeing? And like I tell her, it's none of your business what I'm doing. The only thing that we need to discuss is about the kids. if it doesn't pertain to the kids, I don't entertain it. I will hang up the phone on her. I don't have time for it. And so, you know, I don't know, the less that you feed into it, the happier you will be. And I know it sounds stupid because all want to make our ex feel the way that they have made us feel. But the fact is, you're not going to do it with words. Sitting there telling them that they're the biggest piece of crap that ever walked the face of the planet, that don't faze them. That just lets them know that they're under your skin and that they're winning the battle.
1000%.
But when you shut up and you quit indulging the hatred back and forth, and you let it be one-sided, all directed towards you, and you just sit there and ignore it, then it becomes a whole different ballgame. Then that anger goes from the two of you bickering and arguing to this one being pissed off because this one is not responding. And so that in itself is one of the sweetest forms of revenge, and I crack up. In my case, I usually get a good laugh at least, every other week. And it's sweet revenge because when you stop playing the bullshit game, it's a one-sided game. You let them think they're winning. You just stay silent. It's simple. I have told her 100 times in the past month, if it don't pertain to my kids, don't call me. I don't want to hear it, And, don't get me wrong. They're going to continue to try. She still continues to try to get underneath my skin. I ignore it.
Yeah, well, it's like, you're that anxiety of, oh, what's she gonna send now? What's she gonna say now? It's like, it doesn't matter if you know you're not going to respond.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. Easy.
Well, and if you do respond and you do get in the anger, first of all, you may be giving her ammunition she can use in court, but all that back and forth, what's next? You're just keeping that pot boiling. That frog is in the plate, just boiling. But what's next? Is it going to be more court battles? Is she going to withhold the kids from you all the time, 100%? False allegations. Where is all that anger and hostility going to push the other party to do something that's going to just dump a pile of crap on top of you? So if you stop that engagement and do like Obi said, it's about the kids or nothing at all. Leave me the hell alone. You're taking some power back, and it may help resolve a lot of conflict as well. And I see some of the things in those groups too, and we are not lawyers. We're not professionals. We're just coming at this from what we've been through and what we've seen others go through. But you need to decide what's best for you. I see a lot of really bad advice and information in some of these groups too. So just weigh it all out and figure out what's going to work best for your situation.
Well, that seems like a pretty good place to call it. So fourth wall breaking again. At this point, in the format, we had a few of us dedicated to offer one-on-one sponsorship support. However, because we're a pretty small organization, that program never really lifted off the ground. So we'd like to get to that point to where in some of these groups you see these guys, and they need somebody sort of like an AA sponsor, nothing like an AA sponsor, just someone that can be there and hold them accountable, just like what we were just talking about. For example, instead of going to these groups and asking 90,000 dudes who are also pissed off at their ex, who wish that they could have a chance to dunk on their ex, instead of going to them and saying, oh, what should I do? And then they say, oh, I'll tell you what you should say. Tell her this, blah, blah, blah. And it's not helpful. What we wanted to have was a few of us guys that have been a little weathered by time, have some distance, and that way you can just message this number and say, hey, she sent this, what should I say? And then it's an opportunity. Hey, remember, I thought we said we weren't responding. Stuff like that. That was the idea behind the sponsorship. If we get more guys doing these and you get to a place where you feel like you're in a good place, we'd love to have you join us, join our organization. We're not asking for a lot. Just, some simple things, but if you're interested, feel free to reach out to us. And then the next thing is that we close and thank everybody. So I guess we'll close and thank everybody. Thank you, Obi. Thank you, Zach, for being here. I love you, dudes. Like I said before, you guys are among the very few that I can count on two hands that I can talk to about this stuff. So thanks for being you, and thanks for being here.
Well, and I'll say the same thing. You two guys and a very select few of others I know elsewhere. You're my brothers in this, and I care a lot about you. And we may not ever meet in person. I hope that happens. It might happen with DW here soon. If not, I have not tried some of the meals that he has in his area, so you never know where my motorhome might take me. But same with Obi. I may not ever see you face to face and over a table with a beer or something, but this is it right here. And I wouldn't mind expanding that friendship and connection with other dads too.
Well, don't count that out, man. We could always schedule this out far enough ahead and set up a gun range day and a beer drinking day. We could do a lot of stuff if we schedule it out far enough, my friend.
I wouldn't mind just,
airplane.
like, hey, we all meet in Vegas. I hear they got a range, indoor range there. You can shoot machine guns, and there's plenty of entertainment there. Who knows?
Vegas is a bad. Hold on, David. I think we should really end this live.
Yeah. Hey, all right. So thanks to everybody for making it through. If you made it through, we're gonna apparently talk about Vegas, and I want to dunk on Obi and show him a video of me driving an airplane. So so I'll do that after this. And thanks again. We have these every month. We try to pick a day where a few of us are available to do it. So just watch our page or shoot us a message at our email address, info@fathersanon.org. And we'll be there. There's more of us there, but when people are messaging the page, when people are commenting, here are the faces. These are the people that are talking to you. You're not alone, and we're here for you. Thank you, everybody. Y'all take care.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.